Okay, so we're back for the Q&A. We gotta kind of keep it brief today because I gotta go see that fucking flower that smells like a corpse. So I turned to my patrons and I picked out a few choice guys. Sorry, this guy keeps falling off my... I wish it'd fall off this side. There we go. Okay, so Simon Arsenault asks, this is my first time reading the book, and so far I don't see any clear heroes or villains. Paul has killed a lot of people, but he's trying to be good. Plenty of people want to get rid of him, and they also think they are justified in killing people to achieve their goals. Do you prefer stories with very well-defined heroes and villains, or stories where the line between good and evil are blurry? And personally, I prefer stories where the line between good and evil are blurry, because that is our reality. That is our reality. That is one reason why I'm not into Star Wars as much as other people are, because I feel like you have oh, the Jedi are good and the Sith are evil. And I just think that's such a bland simplification of our world. And I don't think that's a really helpful simplification of our world, good and evil. Like I was trying to explain earlier, I feel like our good and evil are really inconvenient versus convenient, or convenience versus inconvenience. Good, when you say something's good, you really mean that it's convenient for you. When you say something's bad, you mean it's inconvenient for you. And those two things, it's there's not good and evil, there's order and there's chaos. And, even though Paul is he's responsible for a lot of death, he has a higher purpose for what he's doing, and he doesn't he doesn't take pleasure in what he's doing. If he took pleasure in what he was doing and all the death in his name, maybe the Baron would or something like that, then that would be a bummer. But I do prefer stories where the gray area is explored, because that's what I find to be most helpful. Because it's our world isn't in black and white, even though some people try to see it that way. And it's more interesting to explore the gray areas, and try to kind of figure that stuff out. That's one thing that I really like about Ender's Game. That's something that I'd be interested in potentially doing a book club about, because it really talks about a lot of these sort of things, a lot of the gray area, which I find to be really fascinating. And that's where I find personally, I find I get more out of stories that have less simplistic views, and more crazy, gray views that explore real shit. Jay Linus says, my question is more rhetorical, but Dune brings up ideas that that I've always wrestled with. When you accept into your life the idea that pain and suffering serves a higher function necessary for growth, it brings up this question: what do I fight for or against? Do I welcome darkness as a harsh gift, a teacher, or fight against its injustice? If darkness does not always mean evil, can you do a disservice when trying to be the hero? I recognized even these questions are oversimplifying, but they are universal contradictions. And here's the thing. It's I'm going to just continue to preach paradox as much as I can. You have to train yourself to be able to look at things on both sides. How is this convenient for me? How is this inconvenient for me? How is this? You have to look at the control and the chaos aspects of everything. And one thing that personally, human beings learn faster and better, I think, through pain and suffering than they do. If you just tell a kid, don't touch that stove, it's really hot, they have to touch it. They have to experience that pain to know, because you can tell them, but they're going to be well, maybe this guy's lying to me. Maybe this guy's full of shit, And honestly, maybe maybe somebody is lying to them. I think it's good to question and find these things out on your own. And so that's just a part of humanity, is we have to touch that hot stove. We have to touch the hot stove before we'll learn. And that's how you learn. And so it is important to recognize that when things happen to you that produce suffering, it's important to try to find ways to use that suffering to your advantage and understand how the suffering is going to help you grow and what the suffering is bringing up for you, that you're okay, what is this saying to me? What do I need to change in my life? What am I doing wrong? One thing for me that happened to me that was a harsh teacher moment was, okay, so I'm I'm like into some woo-woo astrology shit. And like I really watch Saturn. Like I watch his movements, and every time Saturn goes from one sign to another sign, he is a planet that is like all about limitations, boundaries, finite resources. Specifically, like money is a finite resource. That's one thing that Saturn definitely deals with a lot. And so for me personally, at the end in December, when he moved out of Sagittarius into Capricorn, you know, because he is structures, he's all about structures and limitations. Any hinky structures that I have in my life, I find when Saturn moves, he bowls them over. You know, it's just like shit, whatever ramshackle shit that I have patched together that is not tied down is going to get bowled over by Saturn when he moves into another sign. And the thing that happened to me last December was I got popped with some taxes that I wasn't ready for. I was not ready for the amount of taxes that I owed at all. I had not saved for it. I was a fool, and I got fucked, you know, and then I was like, oh shit, now I'm like completely broke again, you know, and it was a hard lesson. It was a hard Saturnian lesson, and I was really pissed about it, and I was really angry about it. But then I was like, wait, what is Saturn trying to teach me? Because Saturn is the great teacher. You know, he doesn't teach you the fun, happy lessons. He teaches you like the hard shit. And I was like, oh, well, what I need to learn, and one of my weaknesses is that I don't pay attention to those things because I find them unpleasant. I find dealing with money unpleasant. I find taxes and the government and bureaucracy unpleasant. So I just like kind of turn my awareness away from it and don't deal with it. And because I don't deal with it, it came up to bite me in the ass. And it's something that I need to focus on getting better at. You know, it taught me the lesson that like, I need to pay attention to this stuff, you know, even though it's unpleasant to me, even though I don't like dealing with it, it's very important, and I need to quit being an asshole, and I need to like save for taxes, figure these things out, look at these things, like not just be a child and do willy-nilly, like whatever I want, you know, I need to do that. And so that's something where it's like, yeah, it was a really painful lesson, but I'm definitely learning from it, and I'm trying to be better about it this year. And I'm trying to like not let that happen again. But it's like, but you have to stop and take time to be like, okay, this sucks, but what do I need to learn from this? So I hope that helps you, Jay. Let's see here. James Parham says, hi, Danika. I hope you're having a great weekend. I am. How is this rereading of Messiah resonating with you? Paul is looking for the best way out of the world he created. Is Messiah giving you insight into how to shed the CBG 19 persona and move into the next stage of your life? Also, on a recreational note, what strains of weed do you enjoy? Do you have any recommendations? Let's see here. Okay, so yes. When I reread this earlier this year, because I read this way earlier, and I did get kind of depressed, and I was talking about it, and it kind of depressed me because it's like Paul is like guiding himself into oblivion as best I can. And like I knew that I was going to have to I knew that I was potentially going to have to let the show go and let it die. Even though I dearly loved it. And there was, you know, and it was really hard for me. It really just resonated with me in my own life in that moment where I was just like, fuck, you know, like I have to guide myself into oblivion as best I can, you know, like, because this is, yes, in some ways it's a terrible business move, things that I'm doing, like, but it's like, it's a better future than other future timelines that I see, you know, it's like I see other future timelines and I'm like, even though this isn't my preferred timeline, this is what I want to have happen, this is something that, it's like, it's better than some of the alternatives that I see. And so now rereading it again, now that I've already, you know, we made the final episode and it's a cliffhanger situation. And I've had time to more process these feelings about it. It is, but it still is giving me insight on like how to shed the CBG-19 persona. 'Cause that's one thing that like, it is really difficult to do because you've built up for years, you know, oh, this is my thing. And then you have to be like, oh, wait, I need to change. And that's going to like, I'm going to take a hit for that, you know, and like, how deep is this cut going to be? And can I survive this cut? But so far it's like giving, it is giving me strength and like doing what I need to do. And also it's interesting because I saw earlier this week, somebody tweeted me and I wanted to talk about this tweet. I didn't tweet them back because I really wanted to think about it, but it really got to me, and it goes in with this. This guy, SCT Milkshake says on Twitter, at CBGirl19, reading through Dune Messiah is very difficult for me right now. I'm going through my own fall from stability, and watching Paul's enemies working against him, knowing the outcome is hitting too close to home. He's the most powerful being in the universe. If he can't succeed, how can I? And I started thinking about defeat and surrender and all these things. And it's one of those things where it's like, it is sad, like, because you do feel like it is sad. I get it. But the thing is you have to remember is that you can't win them all. Nobody wins them all, not even Paul Atreides, and that just goes to show you that, like, even the highest apex human in the whole universe with the most vaunted fucking powers, whatever, even he can't outrun the Reaper. Even he can't outrun, like, suffering and pain and agony. Like, these things are a part of life. Like, everyone has to deal with these things. Everyone has to deal with defeat and suffering for some degree. And I think the key is to, when you're in a situation where you're not going to win, having a bit of acceptance for it is really helpful, and finding grace. And that's what grace is called. That's what grace is where it's like you find acceptance into something that is seemingly unacceptable, and just like going with surrendering. It's like, that's how I felt when, like, it was just like giving up the shows. Like, I surrender, like, I feel like I've been fighting against the stream with my YouTube show. It's like everything is set against me, like all of these things, I'm doing these things wrong, and then the algorithm is set against me, and I'm trying so hard to make this thing happen, and it's just not working. And there's only so far that you can swim across, like, against the stream, when everything's going against you. You can't do that, like, forever. And you have to accept defeat. You have to surrender at certain points, but that there's a freedom in surrender, and that you just have to take the pain as gracefully as you can. There's just sometimes where you're not going to win and you have to let go, but that there's freedom in that. There's rebirth in that. There is the roots of your new life in that. It's important to be with your suffering. It's important not to try to block it out, to respect your suffering, to honor it. To honor your sadness. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to surrender. I know that in our very, yang masculine society, it's like, you always gotta win. And it's just like, that's not, and you have to feel bad when you lose, and it's just like, well, sometimes the universe is pushing you in a different way, and you don't see that, and you have this expectation of something you want, but that's not where you're supposed to be going. And so, you have to kind of accept these different paths sometimes. And so it's okay. I want to say to that guy, if he's out there, if you're there today, dude, it's okay to lose sometime. Win some, you lose some, and just try to take a defeat as gracefully as you can, and know that it is going to plant the seeds of a whole new life for you that may be way more amazing than what you ever imagined or had planned for yourself. Because a lot of times we have plans for ourselves, and we get so locked into these expectations of our future, so locked into this illusion that we create for ourselves, that we don't see things that could be potentially way fucking better and way fucking cooler. And the universe sometimes has bigger things in store for you than what you have planned. And for you, in order to get those things, you have to let go of the things that you've planned for yourself, and it's not easy. And I wish you well on your journey. And I hope that, whatever, win or lose, we're with you. It sucks being a human. It sucks being a human.com. Back to our Patreon questions. Caspass says, these chapters really seem to highlight how lonely and isolated everyone is. Obviously, Paul, he looks around and only sees strangers, even Alia. And I kept having moments where I felt a yearning for Jessica to be back to try to help him with his isolation. But it's not just Paul. Helen Mohame seems isolated as she was forced to walk the miles and miles through the Citadel. Then also Edric and Scytale interact, and Frank Herbert describes how they both deeply distrust each other's actions and even see each other as weak or an omen. And finally, the intro to the final chapter talks about how there will be interludes of lonely power. Is this just a truism of life? It's lonely at the top, but we all will have moments in life where our paths diverge from the ones we love. Or is Frank trying to say something more about loneliness and destruction? And, you know, like we were just talking about, like defeat and suffering and all that stuff is a part of life. I mean, so is joy. It's just like you have to have all of it. And loneliness is also a part of life. But loneliness is also kind of an illusion as well. You know, like we are all part of, in my opinion, we're all part of a greater thing. We're all connected. And it's not just connected to each other as human beings. We're connected to this planet. We're connected to this universe, this solar system, everything, you know, like but we don't see it because we have these little like pieces of consciousness that have been locked up in our brains, and we think that we're disconnected when we're not. And it feels that way, and it looks that way, and it seems that way. And it's extremely lonely. And, it is a fact of life. You know, loneliness is a fact of life, and it's difficult, but you just have to keep going, you know, and just have to remember that, like, that you're not really alone, even though you might think you are. It's like you're not. And it is lonely at the top too. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the higher you go, you know, the more isolated you become. I mean, the more power you hold, the more isolated you become. I mean, they talked about that earlier, where it's like, oh, you know, those who hold lots of power become disconnected and then they fall. So yeah, and there are moments in our life where like our paths diverge from people that we would like to stay with, but we can't, you know. It's like that happens all the time, and you just have to kind of accept it as best you can. But it fucking sucks. A bag of dicks. Like, it's not fun. It's not fun, but life isn't here to be fun, and it's not here to be comforting and easy, you know. It's like, I don't know exactly what it's all about. Nobody does, but I think, but again, it's like, it's a reality to experience, you know. It's like, experience it, let it happen to you, learn what you can from it, strengthen yourself from it, and keep moving, you know. Just keep moving forward. And also, you know, help your peeps, you know, help your people. I know T-Bone had some questions for me that were non-Dune related that we wanted to talk about for just a moment. We're gonna do a lightning round, yeah, because we gotta wrap this up. I gotta see that corpse flower. Gotta see this corpse flower. So, hold on, here we go. Okay, all right, T. Lightning round. You wanted to ask me some non-Dune related questions. Let's go. All right. Venom trailer. What did I think about the Venom trailer? I think that this is made for teen young boys, which is exactly what Venom is for. That's his market. That's his thing. This is for them. It is not necessarily for adults. But you could still have a fun time with it if you like the character.
Wait a minute. We watched it together and you said you thought it was pretty good. The second trailer that came out.
I mean, it looked better than I thought it would. We'll see. It's a trailer. But they definitely have, like, the technology is there to make Venom look cool. Like, the technology is finally there. Because, like, I don't think that at any other point in time we could have had a Venom movie because the technology would not have allowed it. But I think it works with what, like, all the CGI shit just, like, totally works. But I just feel like there's no Spider-Man. What the fuck? What are you doing, Sony? What are you doing? And the fact that they, like, okay, so, spoilers. Venom uses the line.
It's not spoilers, in the trailer.
Well, no, for people who haven't seen the trailer. Venom uses the line, like a turd in the wind. He says this. And I was just like, Sony, you have got some motherfucking balls to put that in the fucking trailer. You have got some motherfucking balls, because if this movie sucks, every fucking reviewer is going to call it a turd in the wind. Every fucking one, man. You have just set yourself up for every reviewer calling your movie a turd. What are you doing? Stop, Sony, before it's too late. You guys are foolish. I've thought that this Venom movie is foolish because it's disconnected from Spider-Man and the MCU. This is not something. So it's like, where is this going? There's no Spider-Man. It's just Venom running around by himself. Like, there's no Spider-Man. Like, what, you have Venom but no Spider-Man? Like, is there going to be a Spider-Man? Like, how is this going to work, Sony? Like, but Sony's just like, I like money. You know, like, that's all they see is just like, Venom make money. We make Venom movie. But it's like, well, what's the larger game plan here? And I'm sure they have one, but it just seems stupid. Sony, their decision making is not.
So the newest story that came out today or yesterday was that the movie is complete, and now they're trying to bargain with Marvel to get
Tom Holland?
Yeah, to come in the end, like an ending sequence with showing Spider-Man, like connecting the universe.
I don't know if Marvel's going to go for that. Okay, so T-Bone says that Sony is trying to bargain with Marvel to have Tom Holland do a pop-in, I guess.
Well, first of all,
they're saying Tom Holland Spider-Man.
To the audience. The movie's possibly responding well.
Uh-huh.
They like it.
Well, it's a fucking trailer. I mean, Marvel is not going to let Sony stink up their fucking Spider-Man after they just fixed it. After Sony ruined fucking Spider-Man. They already had chances and they fucked it up with their last chance. Yeah. They're not going to let Sony stink up their movie with their bullshit. Like, I don't know if they're going to allow that. It'll be interesting to see. All right. Star Trek. Patrick Stewart's coming back.
Talk about the turn the wind line if you thought that what the controversy was.
What controversy? It's from the comics, but it doesn't work. I don't know if they should have used it. I don't know if they should have used it. I just feel like it was a bad idea. Next question. Star Trek, Patrick Stewart. I'm torn about it.
We'll announce the news first so people don't know.
Okay. Well, apparently, Patrick Stewart is going to reprise his role as Captain Jean-Luc Picard for a new Star Trek series. And if anyone has ever heard me talk about Next Gen, you know I fucking love Next Gen. Jean-Luc Picard is, Jean-Luc Picard is total daddy, you know? He's just like, oh my God, that guy is the best. He's like the most stable, fucking awesome example of an adult in media, period. And so I love him. I love Jean-Luc Picard. And I think that 2018 could definitely use some Jean-Luc Picard energy because he is one of the most reasonable motherfuckers in the fucking universe. I mean, like, he always makes the right decision. He's so fucking diplomatic. He's so fucking even-keeled. Like, he's not naive or foolish or innocent, but he's also not devious or anything like that either. Like, he's just like this perfect being. I don't know. Like, he's just such a great guy. And I think that some Jean-Luc Picard energy is definitely needed. But like, I'm hesitant because I don't want to see the legacy of Jean-Luc Picard be ruined at all. And I don't know what the creative team is behind this. I don't know how they're going to interpret this. I don't know. In a perfect world in my head, yeah, it's awesome. But could it suck and be lame? Yes, it could, and they might mess it up. And I don't want them to mess up my Jean-Luc Picard. But at the same time, I'm not pissed off about seeing him come back because, like, he's definitely aged and is different and is a little older, but he's always looked like an older dude, so it's fine. Whereas, like, Harrison Ford was, like, super hot when he was Indiana Jones, and then he's, like, an old guy, and then I don't want to see old Indiana Jones. So I don't have that problem with Jean-Luc Picard coming back because he was already, like, bald and, like, older and had gray hair and, like, all that stuff. So I'm down with him reprising the role, but we'll see. We'll see.
What do you think made Next Gen so magical?
What do I think make Next Gen so magical? I think that Next Gen was magical in that Gene Roddenberry refused to let the writers create petty human conflicts in between the crew members. Because that's what most TV shows are, is petty fucking conflicts between the cast of whatever show. I mean, like, it's like Melrose Place, but that's like everything, it's like all these adults that have these petty fucking conflicts with one another and all this drama. And like Gene Roddenberry was like, these are pinnacle humans. They're stable humans. They don't fight with each other about petty bullshit. They talk about their problems if they have a problem with one another. Not to say they never have problems with one another, but you're not allowed to lean on drama. And so because of that, you had this image of these like these stable adults working together in harmony and figuring out their problems together diplomatically, which was amazing. It's just like, it was just such a beautiful thing. And that their problems weren't internal. They were working on, problems outside of themselves. They weren't fighting amongst themselves. Like, they were super bros. And like, I loved that. I thought that was really cool. And you don't see that in like any other show. Like, and a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people are like, oh, this is lame because like, these guys are all just like bros and hanging out and like everything's kind of chill. But it's like, I liked that. Like, it makes me feel good to see that. Like, I would like to hang out and be among like really fucking mature motherfuckers like that, where we can all just figure out our problems, but
in a time where the adults running our world today are so unstable.
Well, the adults running the world in every time have been really fucking unstable. It's like, it's just, that's the deal. So I think that's part of what makes it feel so special, is like, you just had this group of adults who worked together and they solved problems together, and they did it in a way that was really fucking stable and awesome. And I really appreciated that. Yeah. And then there's so many concepts and conflicts sci-fi concepts that they explore, because they're not allowed to devolve into petty dramatics. They explore all these really interesting questions. There's a lot of really cool stuff. So yeah, I love The Next Generation. They are my fave. All right. Another thing, Tale of Tales on Netflix. For my US peeps, I don't think it's available for Canadian peeps. But for my US peeps, there is a movie called Tale of Tales. It is from 2015. It is amazing. I remember I was like in some dentist's office or something, and I was looking through an Entertainment Weekly like a couple years ago, and I saw images from Tale of Tales, and I was like, what is this film? This is so sumptuous for my little eyeballs. Like, my eyeballs just loved it. I was like, yes, what is this? And I didn't see it. And so when I saw it pop up on Netflix, I still had those images burned in my mind. I was like, ooh, I finally get to see what the fuck this movie is. And then I watched it, and I was blown away by it. I need to go buy it on Blu-ray. I fucking loved it. It is based off of these lesser-known fairy tales. It's based off of these lesser-known fairy tales collected by this guy. It's some Italian name. I can't remember it. But this director took these 3 different tales from this lesser-known, older fucking fairy tales from Europe, and then created a narrative with all 3 of them running at the same time. And they kind of cross each other, but it's not like they all come together, but like they cross, the characters cross, and then there's different things that kind of, affect different things. And I thought that it was fantastic, and it was a great cast. Although Selma Hayek, she's top billed, but she was the worst actress in it. But you had John C. Reilly in it. There's amazing puppets. There's such great practical stuff. Practical effects in there. There's one crappy CGI shot that like they ran out of budget for, but the rest of it looked amazing. But yeah, and it
Did you say this is a hidden gem on Netflix?
It's a hidden gem, guys. It is a hidden gem. And it was Matteo Garrone directed it. I don't know how to say his last name. But Vincent Cassel is also in it, which I love. If you're into French movies at all, you know who the fuck Vincent Cassel is, and he's in it as well. So so I really loved Tale of Tales.
I thought you were going to present the story like you went to go see Mission Impossible, was excited, and then found out it was not very good, and got really excited about this movie you didn't expect to like.
Yeah, well, yeah, I saw Mission Impossible 6, and then I was like, eh. And then I saw Tale of Tales. I was like, whoa! Like, I was like, this is definitely the one for me. And the costuming is amazing in it. The cinematography is amazing in it. The, like I said, the special effects are amazing in it. There is a great cast in it.
A lot of practical effects.
The practical effects are so fucking good. Like, they're so good. And I love the whole thing. I was just...
And the cinematography, which was supposed to look like a painting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the whole thing looks like a fucking painting. I mean, it's like you could just like freeze frame any image, and you're just like, wow, this looks fucking great. And it's also a horror movie. It's not just like fairy tales were horror tales in the back. Like people that like Disney made fairy tales like cute and fun, but like the original fairy tales are really fucking dark. And so this goes into a lot of those dark things.
What were the original fairy tales that it was portraying?
The original fairy tales that it was portraying was there's 3 tales: the Enchanted Doe, the Flea, and the Flayed Old Lady are the name of the 3 tales. I haven't looked into these.
Oh, I thought one of them was like an early version of Cinderella. I thought that's what you
Well, no, they were saying that which contains the earliest versions of famous fables like Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty, and Cinderella. So like these are like proto.
So those stories came out of these original stories.
I guess, but I haven't done the full research, so I don't know for sure. But yes, I would say that check out The Tale of Tales. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed it a lot, and you probably will too if you're cool peeps.
You were going to say, A, why do you think this movie didn't get a big theatrical release? And then 2, you're going to have people watch it.
Was I? Or where is that what you were going to have me do?
We talked about this earlier.
No, we didn't.
You were going to have people watch it and then come back.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we did. You're right. So what I want to have you guys do is next Sunday we'll talk a little bit about Tale of Tales, but I want you guys to all go watch it this week for your extra credit homework. Go watch Tale of Tales, and we'll kind of talk about it next week because I would like to talk about it a little bit because that would be fucking awesome.
Spoiler review.
Yeah, we'll do a spoiler review, but I'm not going to spoil anything for you now. So check it out. What else? Was that it? And then, I saw Mission Impossible 6. I don't know. I haven't seen like 5 or 4 or like maybe even 3. So I didn't even know, like they had to cut these like, check out this character. And I'm like, I don't know who that is. And then I didn't care. I mean, it was like real. It feels like it's like a fake movie where it's like, this feels like a movie. This looks like a movie. This smells like a movie. But it's like there's no like soul or heart in it. You know, it's just like a money-making venture. It's like a money-making venture where they know they'll make their money back and they know they have this character and then we'll do this and like people will like that. And it's like very much based on algorithms and like analytics and things like that. So it's like, but it's enjoyable. I mean, if you want to watch some rad, crazy stunts, I mean, there's some cool stuff, but there's also just like a bunch of shit where I'm like, why did they have the laundry ball on the helicopter? What purpose did that serve? Like, I don't know. Remember that ball? Anyways, it was stupid. But yeah, it was very paint by numbers. It was very paint by numbers action movie. But I will say, I do. Tom Cruise is crazy, and I can't believe he does all these crazy stunts. And that I think that he's eventually going to get himself killed doing these stunts. But I think that's right. How he would like to go out. I think Tom Cruise would like to go out doing some crazy stunt. You know, he'd rather like burn out than fade away. You know, so good for him for keep doing it at however old he is. You know, you're still doing it, Tom Cruise. But it's at the same time, it's like there's 6 impossible missions. Well, how impossible are they? How impossible is it if like he wins every time, you know? Like, let's see here. Yeah. And then, I don't know. That's it. I don't want to do these other questions.
You weren't supposed to.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, guys, mission almost impossible, but not quite, you know, mission almost impossible, but Tom Cruise fucking kills it anyways. So anyways, guys, okay, so I'm going to hop in the car. We're going to drive. I'm going to get back on my phone and try to live stream this flower for you guys, okay? So get excited. There'll be a notification that comes out. It'll probably take about, like, come back in about an hour. You know, it's like 5:38, you know, come back at like 6:30ish, I think. Be back in about an hour, and I think that'll be enough time to like get over there and like find what we need to do. So you don't give a shit about the flower. Well, I do, bitch, okay? And this is for me, all right? I'm doing this for me, okay? Mama needs to see this flower, all right? It's really exciting. It just, like I said, when I learned about this flower in 2nd grade, I was like, this flower is amazing. And the fact that like I'm in a position where I can actually see it and I don't live in a fucking jungle and like I can experience this flower, like, I mean, with how fucked up our environment is getting and like how much hotter everything is getting, who knows how many more chances we're going to see this sort of stuff. Who knows? You know, so this is it. I gotta see this flower. Come back come back and hang out with me in about an hour, and maybe hopefully my stream will be working. No guarantees. I don't know what the Wi-Fi is like out there. It might be really janky. Okay, it might suck, but we're gonna try it.
We might do 10 hours of flower coverage.
And we might do 10 hours of flower coverage, you know. We'll see. But sorry we didn't get to more questions. I'll do some extra shit with you guys next week. We'll do some extra stuff. But yeah, and it blooms every like 4 to 6 years. Okay, it was like 4 years ago last time this thing bloomed. Okay, I'm about to wait how many years before I see another one of these fuckers? Like, come on, this is gonna happen. We gotta go see this now. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, guys. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to smell the stinky flower that I wanted to smell. I want to smell the stinky flower. It's hilarious. It's gonna be great. I want to experience it. Life is a reality to experience. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, guys, I will see you guys in about an hour. Thank you for joining me for Dune Club. You guys are the best, and you guys are so cute. Mwah. We'll see you in a bit.